let's talk about Elon Musk, and then we're gonna get to the school shooting, or not school shooting, the mass shooting.
Exclusive, Elon Musk's SpaceX says it's running out of money to fund the crucial satellite internet service that Ukrainian troops depend on daily in the battlefield. This comes amidst reports.
So there's conflicting statements on this. Originally, I thought SpaceX was like, because it needs receivers. I thought originally that SpaceX was like fucking. I mean, not SpaceX, sorry. I thought because it was, because you needed receivers, I thought that the Starlink satellite systems, like the satellite internet systems, were actually not exactly great for the Ukrainians. Sorry, I had a brain fart moment there. But now he's saying, I can't fund it anymore. I can't keep it afloat. I can't keep it alive any longer. So I want more money from the U.S. government. Now, of course, that comes on the heels of Elon Musk talking to Vladimir Putin, as far as we understand, and then saying some kind of wild, sometimes somewhat sane, but sometimes kind of wild and insane statements that are uncharacteristic of Elon Musk and very characteristic of Elon Musk. Basically saying just like full-blown surrender to Russia and give up any claims that you have within your own territorial borders, including eastern Ukraine. And then, of course, that frustrated, understandably, Ukrainian leadership, who then turned around and said, fuck you, Elon Musk. You know, see yourself out of our affairs. And he immediately turned around and stated, okay, fuck me. Well, oops, I don't have any more money. The Pentagon has to give me money now for the Starlink shit.
That Musk recently spoke directly to Vladimir Putin about the war. That is a report that Musk denies. Alex Marquardt is out front.
In Ukraine's fight to push out Russian invaders, one of the most critical pieces of technology doesn't fire rockets or bullets. It's small, easy-to-use satellite internet terminals called Starlink, made by SpaceX, the rocket and satellite company founded by Elon Musk. According to SpaceX, there are around 20,000 Starlink terminals in Ukraine, and they've been vital for soldiers' communication, flying drones, and artillery targeting.
Starlink is the glue, really, between the forward-deployed drone and the artillery that's conducting the strike against Russian positions.
Starlink arrived in Ukraine as the war started, earning Musk global praise and thanks. CNN has now exclusively obtained documents showing not only that SpaceX is just one part of a large international effort getting Starlink to Ukraine's front lines, but now, 7 months into the war, SpaceX is warning the Pentagon it is facing the difficult choice of reducing or stopping service.
Why, at this moment, Starlink is raising this issue? It's really bad timing.
Yeah, is it? Hey, guess what, dude? Maybe don't rely on fucking billionaires, okay? Maybe we shouldn't have a system where it's like one guy could just make this decision, you know what I mean? Oh, man, that's crazy.
The company says it has spent almost $100 million and, quote, we are not in a position to further donate terminals to Ukraine or fund the existing terminals for an indefinite period of time. SpaceX has now requested the Pentagon pick up much of the tab, $124 million for the rest of 2022, a rate that would translate to close to $400 million for the next year.
SpaceX is not a charity, of course, and they're losing a lot of money right now as a business, so I'm sure they're trying to recoup some of their costs.
SpaceX's request came after Ukraine's commanding general, Valery Zaluzhny, wrote in July directly to Musk, the letter obtained exclusively by CNN. Starlink units provide exceptional utility, the general wrote, then asked Musk for almost 8,000 more terminals. Instead, SpaceX said they told Ukraine to send their request to the Pentagon, adding, we have now exceeded our original agreement with Ukraine. Without Starlink, Ukraine says it can't fight. Last week, reports emerged of widespread sudden Starlink outages on the front line as troops fought to take back territory.
They're puzzled about why that's going on. Is that something that SpaceX is doing intentionally? Is that coming from Elon? No one is quite sure.
The outages and news of the funding request to the Pentagon come as Musk's support of Ukraine is also questioned after he proposed a peace deal suggesting that Ukraine relinquish Crimea to Russia and hold UN-backed referenda for parts of eastern Ukraine. He told a private audience that Ukraine doesn't want to talk about peace negotiations, while he says Russia would accept those terms.
In the backlash that has followed, Elon Musk has repeatedly insisted that he's pro-Ukraine. Just yesterday, tweeting at a Ukrainian official who thanked him for the Starlink services, saying, "You're most welcome, glad to support Ukraine." Now, in reality, Aaron, that support is more complicated. The documents that we saw show that SpaceX fully donated just 15% of the Starlink hardware. The terminals, those are the terminals, with the majority, 70% of the internet service. Now, the rest comes from countries like US, Poland, the UK, and other entities. Now, Aaron, at the same time, Musk is saying that he's glad to support Ukraine. His company is now saying that support may soon slow down or end. SpaceX ignored our repeated requests for comment, and a lawyer for Musk did not respond. Aaron.
All right. Alex Marquardt, thank you very much.
I thought that was similar to kind of diplomatic peace you want too. Has that changed? No, I am a fan of building an off-ramp and ending this war. I'm an advocate for it. It's not pro-state, it's pro-war or anti-war. I am anti-war. Reports say the soldiers were using their own credit cards to keep the Starlink up, so possibly Elon is not flipping the bill. Footing the bill, you mean, right? So Elon Musk is whining about losing a lot of money on Starlinks for Ukraine. Meanwhile, may I present you the snippets of my bank statements? Thousands of Ukrainians paying his company monthly. So the question is, did you really lose more money than you earned? So he was already charging them? This is confusing. The Pentagon said that it was in talks with Elon Musk's Starlink mobile internet system to keep connectivity for Ukrainian forces after Musk complained he was burning through nearly $20 million a month funding the service. I mean, listen, color me surprised that Elon Musk saw a hot button issue and literally used it as a marketing opportunity for himself, okay? Exclusively for himself. And then secretly complained to the Pentagon to get more money for this. And is now also petulant and really fucking narcissistic and is mad that like Ukrainians got mad at him involving himself in you know, otherwise a brutal and bloody war. What's he going to do? Go over there and take his shit back, keep it, and tell him to go fuck himself? I mean, you can't. He could just stop the satellites from beaming information back, right? I mean, he could just end it. It doesn't work that way. He could just make it not work. I'm surprised he hasn't called someone a pedophile yet. He literally induced the Ukrainians to rely on a service, then rug pulls them once they do. This is criminal in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, he did. He's such a piece of shit. What exactly is the cost of the service? Those things are already in space. Can the cost operation really be that high? Yeah. Bro, what do you mean? There's like upkeep. There's people that are fucking literally sitting on the ground monitoring that shit. Yeah, of course the costs are high. Are you saying like the upkeep of fucking satellite internet service is not going to be high? Like, of course the costs are going to be high. And then he did this incredibly petty thing, which was really funny. Elon Musk Starlink says they can no longer afford to give Ukraine free service and ask the Pentagon to pay for it. Starlink has been a game changer in the war. This comes days after Ukrainian ambassador told Musk to fuck off. He turned around and he said, we're just following his recommendation. I love the Michaela tweet under it, though. He goes, I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. That is the most petty shit I've ever seen. Like, he probably just wants to make money off of this, right? He did the PR thing. People forgot about the PR part. Now he wants to make more money off of it, right? But he didn't have to say this part, but he did it anyway because he's a fucking psycho. He's a freak. He just, I mean, this is next level. Wonder if it's losing 20 million a month is just how most corpos speak when they say losing in place of not getting X amount of money we could have. I mean, a little bit. Now, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but this is coming off the heels, like I said, of Elon Musk having potentially private conversations with Vladimir Putin. He did say that. He had conversations with Vladimir Putin. He did get liberals like me on board with nationalization. Also, there was no extra cost. These are all satellites SpaceX already planned to launch. US, EU government pay for 70% of the hardware costs on the ground. But then fucking nationalize it again. Definitely, Elon Musk is among the world's top private donors supporting Ukraine. Starlink is an essential element of our critical infrastructure, says Mikhailo Fedorov, the vice prime minister of Ukraine, which Elon Musk apparently personally liked this tweet. And people are yelling at the ambassador. God, I love this story. I play no role in this, okay? I am completely outside. I'm looking at this completely from the outside, okay? It's fucking hilarious because Elon Musk stands are now yelling at the fucking vice prime minister of Ukraine because his ambassador popped off on Elon Musk, the deity, the holy Lord. It's awesome. People straight up are like, dude, what do you mean? Demonstrate your fealty to our Lord immediately. Are you crazy? How dare you? Why would the Ukrainian ambassador say fuck off to a guy whose service is important to Ukraine? The former ambassador to Germany who told Musk to fuck off is also the same guy who got recalled because he denied Bandera's anti-Semitism law. I mean, that's, you know, part and parcel. It's going to happen. That's the least shocking piece of information I've heard in this process. Oh, here it was. I remember seeing this. He said, fuck off to Elon Musk. Fuck off is my very diplomatic reply to you. After Elon said, Ukraine-Russia peace, redo elections and annex regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as it has been since 1783. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral. And Andriy Melnik said, fuck off is my very diplomatic reply to you. Let him eat each other in the replies, dude. I was calling Musk a Russian asset back in June on chat, trying to figure out why no one is concerned when NASA ties satellite ops and economic power in the U.S. People who are saying Melnik is a Holocaust revisionist, by the way, brother, that's why I'm saying I'm not touching this, okay? I'm just watching it happen. Not exactly a fan. I'm surprised Elon Musk hasn't called someone a pedophile yet in this story. Every part of this peace deal is pretty reasonable except for the first point about annexation in eastern Ukraine. Yes. I already mentioned that. Maybe Musk wants to not support anymore. Having the U.S. funded stuff allows him to not be the blame if something really bad happens. I'd rather shit on myself than listen to your politician bullshit. Can I come over and shit all over that MAGA hat, bro? Bro, it seems like you got some poopy stuff going on. It seems like this is a kink, my friend. It's kind of weird. Kind of a weird kink. Why is the first part so bad if that's the will of the people? Because the Crimean conversation is more complicated than the annexed region conversation. The annexed region is fucking annexed by force. Like, at this stage, if they held elections there, you don't even have enough fucking people. There are so many people that have been displaced. The regions don't look like what it was. You know what I mean? People will say, so was Crimea, while refusing to recognize that LPR and DPR, and I'm not even talking about even the broader Eastern Ukrainian territories in general, but LPR and DPR have been in a fucking 14-year trench warfare with like rocket systems and airplanes bombing each other. Since 2014, with 14,000 people dying before Russia even invaded. That's not just something you can say. That's not just something you can fucking point to and be like, oh yeah, this area is Russian now. That's bullshit. There's a difference between that and Crimea, which is something that I think even Ukrainian leadership understood, which is precisely why even Zelensky himself had originally said in the 15-point peace negotiations with Russia that were being conducted in Antalya before they blew up, okay, that they would push back the Crimean territorial conflict 15 years into the future. LPR and DPR's vote to separate from Ukraine and whatever, ultimately, it comes off the heels of 8 years of war. All of those areas have been, all of those areas and the demographics in those areas have changed so drastically, especially in recent years, especially in the immediate aftermath of the Russian invasion. There is also a particular reason why, instead of Ukraine trying to retake Crimea in a similar capacity, they just fucking blew up. They dammed the river and moved on. They just cut off their water and moved on, instead of trying to also forcibly retake Crimea. Understand? Which, by the way, was a human rights violation. I have mentioned that before. Which is why I have said time and time again that the best possible way, the best possible outcome to have stopped this dead in its tracks and avoid thousands of casualties and millions of people being displaced was to reinstitute by force the Minsk agreements, which would have made sure that LPR and DPR still remained within the borders of Ukraine while having autonomy. Human rights violations, so not a real violation of anything because there's no punishment associated with any human rights violations. I mean, human rights violations is something that people use only when they're talking about fucking, what do you call it? When it's a smaller non-state actor doing anything. But the issue now is, I don't even think that they can do that. I don't foresee a world in which, I do not foresee a world in which the eastern territories that have now been annexed and are firmly considered by the Russian Constitution, which I don't give a fuck about, that is now considered by Russia to be Russian territory. It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous, unacceptable thing. I don't see a Minsk 3 happening anytime soon. No. But you absolutely cannot